So this episode was basically a continuation of last week, where it was like Puerto Rico part two, and they go straight from the dinner scene to the very next day. Hello everyone, my name is OJ, and welcome back to my channel. This is my review on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 17, episode number 6. So I'll be doing this review just sort of from the start to finish, what I found interesting, what I thought was something I wanted to talk about, and just my perspective on really what's going on and what's happening and what I'm really seeing. So the episode opens up. Also, I have my notes just over there on my iPad, so if you see me looking this way, just so you know, that's what's going on. I'm not just staring off into space. So the episode opens up with the girls catching up over breakfast. Everyone seems, pretty pleasant. Everyone's just having a little chit chat about, kind of the last night slash what they're eating now, and like while at the same time simultaneously getting ready. Okay. Um, at the same time, the scene sort of cuts to other clips where it shows one Shamir talking to his sister, and she mentions that she's annoyed that she missed the dinner because of the whole room not being clean, which I guess the shower was not clean as well. So therefore, they then couldn't shower and then get ready for dinner, which I understand. But at the same time, I am of the belief that in that huge, large house, why couldn't they at least go to another room and just borrow someone's room while maybe their room was getting cleaned, or while something was being done to sort whatever the issue was. I just felt that it was a non-issue that is now being dragging on, and it's now dragging on into another episode. So obviously she was telling her sister how annoyed and how pissed she was. At the same time, it does cut to Pinky, and Pinky was talking to her husband and sort of giving her, I guess, like a brief rundown of what's going on. And then she mentions Angela, and she said, the giraffe-looking one. I don't know. I just don't know how I feel about describing people's looks, especially when you compare them to animals, I will say. So I'm just gonna just leave that as that, and I'm just gonna move on because I have some thoughts on Miss Pinky as we continue on from last week into this week and probably onwards as well. Um, Also, while they were sitting at the table, it goes back to the table scene where you have Drew walks in, Phaedra's there, Pinky's there. Obviously, Cynthia then joins them at some point. And something that I had touched on previously was I felt like Pinky's energy. I really do not want to get into the habit of, it's like a sidebar. I do not want to get into the habit of especially labeling like black women as aggressive. Like we all know what those, how those negative connotations are, always how we're labeled with them, whether male or female. So I will refrain from using that word. I would probably say her energy is a bit, I don't know, it's a lot, like very rah rah, as Phaedra says, I believe. I'm not sure if that's the same thing. I could be very wrong, but I'll correct myself as I go. So anyway, Phaedra also picks up on Pinky's energy, and like she says that she's very rah rah. And I also personally feel that Pinky did have a point last week when she brought up what she brought up as it came to like the room situation and how like the state the rooms were in, which I totally understood. But I also feel that there is a way that you can deliver something, like your delivery and your tone and all that, especially within this space or within like the group dynamics. I would say I felt that it wasn't where you know you really had to get into like defense mode of some sort, but that's just my thought on Pinky in that aspect. And another thought with the room situation, like I understand, you pay for a service or you live a certain level at a certain level, you have a certain lifestyle that you have at home or on like a large international show such as this, so you would have expectations on what you should be receiving, but the continuous, complaining about the room. Me personally, I would have just gone down to a hotel or found something else, or I would have just made something work, really. I just felt that them complaining, it was like at this point, they were just, it's just like they were just belaboring the point and just going on, and it was getting annoying. Like, it was really, really starting to like get on my nerves a little bit, if that makes sense. So, yeah, that was my thoughts on the whole um what's her name, Shamia and Kelly with their own thing. Um, Obviously at the table they sort of go back and forth. Shamia then joins. Shamia's at the table as well. Shamia and Drew sort of go back and forth about, I guess, the apology, not apology, or someone not accepting someone's apology. I believe that Drew wasn't accepting Shamia's apology. And then obviously they showed a flashback to an event that they had. I believe that was Kelly's shop opening when Shamia's mother had jumped in to, basically do the whole, like, like the devil is working overtime to split you guys, or like, something to that effect. And I understand, standing up for your loved one. I understand, looking out for your loved one. But me personally, I just didn't understand why Shamia's mother had to stand in or jump into the mix of the conversation at that time. I just felt that, they were two adult women. They were, they're at the point where they can just, express themselves. And there was, there was no one was in any harm. No one was going to be harmed or in sort of harm's way, if that makes sense. They were capable of having a conversation and figuring out what works for them and where they wanted to go or where they didn't want to go, and that's so fine with that. So it was, to me, it's just still like the battle of the singers. I just feel like because the two of them sing as well, the two of them recently put out like music and albums and all that. To me, it's just like it's the battle of the singers. And as I did say, Drew does not accept Shamia's apology, and at least at this point, it is what it is. I don't want them to keep dragging this point on, and it just keeps going on and on. Like at this point, I just feel just let it go. Like it is what it is. Also, I truly will say, like Cynthia has always been, a great addition to the show. I, along with many people, will say that we feel that Cynthia, or I'll speak for myself, I can't speak for other people. I will say that Cynthia, to me, she brings like a cool, calm, like collective energy to the group. I feel like she, to me, is like the safe space where, like, if she was hosting an event, everyone's more likely to attend. Versus, though I love her, like someone like Kenya, especially in her earlier seasons, with all the drama that was surrounding the other cast members with her, the potential for them to show up at her events or anything to do with her was kind of, on the lower level. Versus Cynthia, it was sort of, she's like a safe bet, if you will, in the sense of like, people will show up. She's like mutual ground. Why can't I speak today? This is crazy. um, and yeah, which is my point that I'm going on with is, to me, Cynthia, like I love, the veteran mother hen role that she has, taken in. Even though like she is a friend, she's just not as a friend. Like she had been a housewife for, gosh, such a long time. So it's very nice. It to me, it's very nice to see her um sort of slide into that role, because I know that a lot of housewives going from the role of being full time to now being offered the role of part time, it's probably not something that they would take. I understand why, but I feel like it's also great because you don't have to you don't need to show majority of your life. You get to pop up here and there, and especially for her being in the position as a veteran, like I feel she has like a lot of respect from the girls plus the network and like the franchise as a whole, if that makes sense. So while at the table, when Cynthia shows up, she sort of gives them a rundown on the day's activities. Like they'll basically, one group will be doing the kettle drive, and the other group will be riding horses. So Cynthia, with her group, she would have Pinky, Shamia, Drew, Kelly to do the kettle drive, and then you have Phaedra, Portia, Kay, Michelle, Angela are all together doing the um what is it, riding the horses. Well, right, because they didn't ride, they were just there. But I don't blame them, we'll get into that later. I will say it was very interesting when once Cynthia had told them, and I like how Cynthia chose to keep Kelly and Shamir with her. I guess for her it was her way to show that she was genuinely like concerned and genuinely wanted to fix what was going on. And like, what can we do? Like we can't fault Cynthia for trying. Like she, to me, had no control on how clean or how not clean the place was. And it was kind of giving for those that watch Real Housewives of Potomac, like the last season when Angel took them all to Colorado, and they had the issue with no water and the way that everyone was carrying on, which I do understand, however, but just the way everyone's carrying on here, especially Kelly and Shamia, it just reminds me of that. And the way Cynthia's trying to fix everything, God bless her. Um, I'm glad to see that K Michelle's glam team arrived, so she's able to feel comfortable to film and all that. But I will say that I think Portia was pointing out. She said that Kay's still a pretty girl and she should have just come however she was to the dinner. And like that's what I think as well. Like, I feel like Kay to me, she's really really pretty. Like she has such nice, soft, delicate features, and I mean they're all pretty girls to me anyway. So, but then we're all entitled to how we want to show up. We're all entitled to how we want to be presented to the world. So that's just my thoughts on that. Um, so by that point, the girls that are going to the cattle drive all leave, and the girls that are doing the horse ride, which is Phaedra, Portia, Angela, and there was someone else. Let me see who. K Michelle. So they were doing their what is it called? The horse riding, and it was so cool. I did not know that Phaedra had grown up, participating in that, and I just thought that it's so cool, like to learn how to ride a horse. Like, would I want to ride a horse? I don't know, but I just think it's a cool experience to know how to ride a horse and be around horses, I guess. So it was nice. Um, so they cut to the bus ride with the girls that are doing the cattle drive, and they show Cynthia then try to apologize to Shamia and Kelly. And obviously, I felt that Shamia was just being insufferable in this time as well. Shamia just kept complaining about, I guess, the cleanliness and like how that all was going. And I understand the frustration, but at the same time, the way she is acting is as if this was Cynthia's like personal house, or Cynthia was the cleaner, or Cynthia owns the cleaners. Like Cynthia had like she had nothing to do with what is it called, like the cleanliness of the space. Like obviously she was the host and all that, but that's something that you have to pass on to like the caretakers or like the manager or like the owner that they first met. So I guess some things take time, but I also feel like I said that they were just making this into like something really big at the same time. And then obviously then Kelly jumps in as well because obviously Kelly is in the same boat as Shamia with regards to the cleanliness. And then Kelly then goes into talking about like how when they travel, they would like something that I guess in a way is a reflection of like how comfortable or the comfortability of the sort of lives that they have back at home, which I understand. I fully understand that. But it was funny though when Drew jumped in and she said that basically Kelly is now talking about comfortability versus cleanliness. Like, what are we going with? Or like, what is your point? Like, why? Excuse me. Like where are we going with this and what is the point of this and what are you really trying to say? And then obviously while they were talking, Kelly then says that Drew looked like the alien in her movie. Like that was, to me that was a weak read because Drew is a beautiful girl. Like literally she did not look nothing like the alien, but to me that fell flat. That was just weak, like a weak read if you will. And then Drew basically said basically like like okay, misproportions. And I know I was getting on Pinky at the start for calling Angela like a giraffe lookalike, but that killed me. Just because like here's my thing with Kelly. Like I may not be a fashionista in that way or anyone's stylist per se. I just put things together that works for me. I hope, and I think it works. But with Kelly, I feel like because of like her stature, like especially for example with the feathery, like the purple or like the lavender colored boa look that she wears in a confessional, I just feel like it's like way too big for her. And because of her stature, I feel like it drowns her out or like it sort of like swallows her up. And that's what I feel with a lot of the clothes that Kelly wears. I feel like she wears things that would probably fit or look proportionate to someone like, like tall like Cynthia, tall like Portia. So yeah, I feel like Kelly needs to either find a stylist or listen to a stylist about what really works for her or what fits her body type, and that's just my opinion on that. So anyway, honestly, thank God that Cynthia basically, kill that line of questioning with like the rooms and all that because like at this point it's exhausting. Like we're going into day two and they are still going on about this room that is it's going to be fixed by the time they get home. Like hopefully it's going to be fixed. Hopefully it's going to be at a standard that's you know good enough for the girls and good enough for everyone. So them just going on and on, like it was really getting annoyed, and I understood why Cynthia sort of just like killed the conversation. But the other car with the girls doing the horse riding, that looks like they look like they had so much fun. Like it was so fun. Like they were just playing music and chilling, and then they also brought up like Portia's song Flatline. I don't know if it's on the way out or on the way back, but they did bring it up at some point. It was like a sidebar thing. Like I actually like that song. Her and Kenya's song. I like those two songs. Um, they talk about what is it? Back in Cynthia's car, they talk about like Cynthia's event and how like she also mentioned like this whole thing is stressing her out with the rooms. Like she doesn't even want to do the event anymore. She doesn't know how it's gonna go or like if they're planning to purposely like ruin her thing. And which is totally what I understand because the whole purpose of this trip is for Cynthia, and the whole purpose of this trip is to support Cynthia's tequila business and I guess the launch of it and the gala that she's having. So I totally understood. Um, they talk about dates, and as I've said before, I do not care about Drew and this black. To me, that's just like something to pass time. That's just for TV. I do not believe a thing of what is going on with the two of them. It just, yeah, whatever. Next, like moving on to the next thing. Honestly, I will say though, even though I did say I will not talk about anything to do with black, back to the car that Porsche's in. Kay Michelle obviously then brings up Black, and she brings up the fact that she felt that Drew tried to imply that she, as a married woman, was doing something with Black. Now, I'm not sure what the timelines were or where when it had happened. From the way it appears on the show and the way it looks to me, it appears as though like the oh, excuse me, I don't know why I'm burping. The time that Shamia is correction, not Shamia. Hey Michelle was talking about like Black DMing her and all that was around like when they started filming, which we all know from the very first episode. Hey Michelle did say that they literally only just got married like 2 weeks ago. So to me, for her to say like I'm a married woman, like what are you trying to imply that something was going on? It's like, hey Michelle, really? Well, like where are you going with this? But it is what it is. Like we really don't care. Um, so Portia, Phaedra, Angela and Kay Michelle arrive at the horse riding, and the lady had greeted them and basically explained the tour and what they would be doing, and I guess I'll be doing some wine tasting and all that. It was so sweet of her to like provide fans for them, as I believe it would have been hot or that part of the US. Like I've never been to America. For those that don't know, I live in Australia. I'm Australian, so I could imagine that place or where they were was hot, which was such a nice touch for them to have fans for the ladies. Like that was such a cool thing. And also one more thing, I will say from them going from Georgia to Texas, Texas looks nice in the sense of like it looked very green. I believe this would be like around the summertime in the northern hemisphere, which would be like the middle of the year versus here in Australia, our summertime is like December all the way to like March and all that. Like it's during the winter time in the northern hemisphere, just like a sidebar. But it looks so pretty. Like I was like, wow, like Texas looks nice. God willing, someday I'll make it over there. Um, when the horse was spooked and they all jumped, even like the tour lady, she ran to. I was like, and it was literally right after I think Phaedra had mentioned something about like horses, they can get spooked and whatever, and that happened, and like poor Phaedra had fallen over. Like oh my days, I would have been done honestly. I would have been done. Like I'd have been over it. And also they offered for the girls to ride. It was so funny because like everyone had a reason why they couldn't ride. It was like maybe things weren't taped down properly, or like in Angela's case, she was wearing a dress compared to the other girls. The other girls wearing shoes and all. Sorry, jeans or denim where they could ride with it. It was funny. I in that scenario, I don't know if I would have ridden the horse. Maybe if I could just like sit on the horse, but in like a maybe a little cage where the horse couldn't really jump or like throw me off really, because I would be so scared. So I would have done the exact same thing as well. Um, I actually didn't mention when it was funny when they went to see the Bulls, and then the Bulls had literally just walked down the street, and it was like from what it appeared on TV, it literally appeared that it was like literally just that one little thing. Like the girls were just there, they rocked up, they saw the Bulls appear, and then that was it. And like to Shamia's point, she was like, "Well, that's it. Like we came all the way for 30 seconds." And Cynthia is hilarious when she was like, "Yeah, it's something to see. We did see something." Oh my gosh, they are hilarious. But I will say though, I I don't know how this works in my mind, right? But I would personally do what the girls with the bull. I would happily sit on the bull versus the horse. I don't know how that matches when the bull's bigger than a horse, or maybe wider than a horse, or in my opinion more aggressive. But you know what? It is what it is. Um, While they were also climbing onto the bulls, I thought it was very sweet. I did notice like the guides or the guys that were assisting them, they would like hold their hats up to sort of like block the skirts, so to prevent either them flashing someone or like there are creeps around everywhere, someone from looking up their skirt. I thought that was so sweet and very gentlemanlike. It was nice to see. Um, so the girls that are at the bull exhibition or the bull excursion, they I'm only laughing because Pinky just kills me. Like I just don't know. Like I am trying to like Pinky, but I just feel like I don't know. Maybe it's just the way she talks, or maybe just her delivery. Just like I can't. Anyway, so they then go up to the restaurant to order food, and Pinky starts complaining about like how I say like what the vegan options are. And Cynthia knew she was a vegan, and why did they come there? Which I get, but at the same time as well, it is Cynthia's trip. And in the big year of 2026, or well, 2025, when this was filmed, I am sure that there are places that would have vegan options, or there's always you can make something a vegan option. Well, in my opinion, anyway. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just what I thought. Like I just felt that it was so insufferable of Pinky to just complain and complain and complain, especially about this whole vegan thing. Like, we get that you're vegan. Like, we understand. Like, oh my god, you don't need to bring it up every episode. You don't need to make it known, like, to the group to be like, okay, well, we should have done something different. We should have gone somewhere else. Like, I understand wanting to be considered, but I feel like there's a lot of places these days, well, at least in Australia. I can't speak for America, but we have like vegan options available. So there's always something for everyone. And you know what? It kind of reminded me of last season with RHOP when what's her name, Stacy and Kiana caught up for lunch, and obviously Kiana has the lactose intolerance thing, right? And she sort of had an issue with Stacy ordering something that had cheese in it, even though she had just mentioned, and I guess Stacy was aware, but Stacy wanted to eat what she wanted to eat. Like, how was me ordering something for myself that had cheese, how is that going to affect you? Like, how are you were not obliged to eat, you were not obliged to share it because of, your lactose intolerance or whatever. Like, that was just, whatever. It was funny, but yeah. And then Drew and Shamia, honestly, whatever. I don't care. Like, they really didn't apologize. Waste of time. Next. Um, it was so funny, like I said, the whole mother hen vibe that Cynthia was giving me. Like she basically told them that they can stop the conversation, sit down because you're in a restaurant, and just move the conversation to later because like thank God. And it then cuts to the girls at the horse riding adventure, and it was so funny. They saw the horses with like the long mane, and they're making jokes about like wigs and all that. And Portia then brings up that she has had her business now for what 10 years, like Portia's business Go Naked, where she sells like hair extensions and wigs and all that. And she had mentioned that how successful her business is. I believe like they're pulling in seven figures, or like over time they've pulled in seven figures. And just the Portia from season one to the Portia now, hats off to her. Like it is beautiful to see people strive and do something that they love, and just make it big, especially a lot of people of color, a lot of black people. Like I can only speak for black people because I'm black, but it's nice to see, and I'm very happy and I'm very proud of Portia. Like, hats off to like good on her. Like, yeah, I wish her like continued success. And sidebar, I think she did a interview with Forbes recently, and how she said she wanted to be a billionaire. She is like that's what she aims for. And like it's funny, like people in the comments were like, then if you want to be a billionaire, like this is how much you have to sell. Stop what is it? Discouraging people, Allow people where like if their dream is that big, and in my opinion, you're not dreaming that big, like that's on you. Like do not put it on other people and discourage people and stop people. Like let them dream as big as they want. Like you never know what people can achieve. Just because like in your heart and in your mind, like you have a small worldview or small goals for yourself, like just whatever. I'm just gonna stop. I'm going into something else. This is my other encouragement videos, not this Housewives ones. Um, so yeah, that was cute. Portia talking about her thing, about her business. I meant, and also speaking of the bun, I could not believe that they were doing the wine tasting in the bun or around the bun. Like that's just to me, that's just madness. Like, what do you mean? They're sitting there with like poopy smell and everything. Like that's crazy. But you know what? They were there, not me. And then Phaedra was so funny when she was, she was saying like, she wouldn't mind dating, what is it, Italian men. You know what? I don't blame you, Phaedra. And Portia, when the guy was like saying stuff in Italian, because obviously he's Italian, and I guess it was Italian wine. And Portia kept doing like the whole mixing it between Spanish. Like it was so funny to me. I would have done the same. Like I don't really know much of Italian or much of Spanish, so I probably would have made the honest mistake. Um, it cuts back to Pinky and them at the Bull adventure, and Pinky saying that Angela is below her tax bracket, and she wasn't bothered. But it's just like, okay, if you weren't bothered, why are you mentioning about Angela? Why are you talking about Angela's tax bracket? Like, if you're so set on like where you are and what you have in your life, like why do you need to bring up someone else? And that's like what I feel that I am missing with Pinky, in the sense of she just comes across very bothered. Maybe it's just me and my perception, but the way I see it, it comes across like just super bothered with whatever's going on, really. Um, and while at the table as well, Kelly as well, she needs to tell Portia like about what she's saying behind the scenes about her, like calling her Portia and all that. Like it's just like we've heard this before. Like Kelly, clearly you've like seen previous seasons, or you've seen like old tweets that people have said online. Like, yeah, we get it, we know, like it is what it is. Ha ha ha. Move on. Um, they did. I think Cynthia or someone at the table at like their brunch or lunch, they did say that Pinky did make everyone uncomfortable, and then Cynthia brought up the whole like delivery. Like there was nothing wrong with Pinky speaking up. There was nothing wrong with Pinky bringing like a concern to the group. But then the way she had delivered stuff, it was like very just. It was, yeah, not a vibe. Like, it was not in a way that you could take it. And then and also without like much of the backstory of everything which is going on, which I believe that Cynthia was aware of or was coming to be aware of in terms of like the cleaning and all that. It just seemed like Pinky just jumped the gun for the sake of jumping the gun. And I was just like, you know what, Cynthia, I'm glad. I'm glad that you said something. And then Pinky also then it appeared that she tried to shut down the conversation, and Cynthia was just like, you can't open up a conversation and then not allow someone else to speak, and then just like shut down the conversation. Like that's crazy. That's wild. And I agree with Cynthia on that. And then I guess it rolls into Pinky like in her confessional. Basically, like she went into the whole how will I say, as black women, they're called like aggressive, or they're always labeled this and that. And like I get that, I understand, but then I feel like at this point, Pinky was trying to conflate two things into one. Like she was trying to use like a bigger overarching issue into whatever smaller issue that they were having. Like they were just purely talking about her delivery, and the way she jumped into someone else's issue. She could have delivered it better, but then she jumped into like, I guess, tried to like segue into something else, to use like a bigger overarching issue to sort of drive her point home, you know? So yeah, that's that really. Um, so obviously their launch seemed to just derail, and to me, I literally wrote it down. I was like, well, that launch was a bust because they just left after like it is what it is. And then Portia song on the way back, K Michelle was like just gonna look for Portia song. Funny, I think Portia said it was like top 10 or like maybe one for like 3 weeks. Like, do what you want. Like, it's your life. Like, I love that. And honestly, Cynthia napping at home is so real. Like, by the time they got home, I would have napped too, just without my shoes on the bed. But it is what it is. While Cynthia was napping, Drew that then shows up just to check on her and like see what's going on. And then Drew actually brings up like a very, 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 very like to me an interesting point. She said that the whole clean room thing, like for Shamia, especially like it's bigger than the clean room. Like she was saying how like Shamia uses like the her corniness to cover up something or in that way, and that's something that I thought, but I never really understood why I thought that or like what where that came from really. So I guess it was nice to see someone speak my thoughts, but I guess I would like to see more and see how this like goes on. And please forgive me, I'm like jumping back and forth because I'm literally going like kind of not scene by scene, but as I was watching it, I was just writing my notes down. So obviously, Kay Michelle mentions that well, she doesn't say that she's bi, but she's had an interest in women, I will say. So that was interesting. Um, I think Pinky also says that. Oh well, I wrote down that I believe that Pinky is an energy vampire. That's what I feel about her. She was saying I think in her confessional that she is usually around her husband and I guess she doesn't hang around people like this, which I took as like, okay, so does she not hang around females? Like, is she one of those people that only hangs around men? I think that's a bit icky in a way. I feel that's kind of like pick me in a way. I mean, she did say like she has masculine energy, so I mean, it's from her mouth to our ears and the cameras and what we see on TV, right? So, I mean, which makes, yeah, it is what it is. And also, it was funny when Pinky, she was basically implying that, she didn't have to lay on her back to make her money, unlike some people, obviously Angela. And she did say that earlier that Angela was in like a lower tax bracket and Pinky was in a higher tax bracket. It's like, why are you bothered by little things like this? Like I get that there's for some reason that's like such a big thing about like people laying on their backs to make money or people using their bodies to make money. And me personally, I don't understand that. Like I feel like it's still a way that you make money. It's still a way that you're using what you're given. Like people feel like it's dishonest in a way, but then at the same time it's like why is it that there are people that are in power, whether money wise or like status wise, that they won't give certain things to people unless people, give up like basically themselves, give up like their soul, their whole body and all that. Like I feel like that's a flaw. It's like a overarching thing that I'm talking about now, but like I feel like that's kind of like a flaw that I always feel away whenever people say stuff like that. It's like what is so wrong with using your body for money, you know? Look, I just feel like we're all not that far removed from having to, do that in case, things go left or we lose our jobs or whatever. Like, I'm just saying. And I just feel like we all use our bodies to make money in some way. Like, if you're a trainer, you're using your body to make money, right? So, what's the difference with sleeping with someone for money? But at the same time, too, like, if she's talking about Charles, like, that's her husband. If you're in a marriage, in a marriage is like, like you're cohabitating, like you're living together. What's yours is mine, what's mine is yours. Like, you're sharing everything. Like, you have a common goal, common house, common fight. Like, to me, I don't see the issue with that, but like Pinky doesn't want to take Derek's money, so I can see how, like, to her, she runs with the whole, like, she's built herself up, which, like, good on her, but you don't have to struggle. Why struggle when you have someone there to support you? But, it is what it is. Cynthia, so obviously they were at the house, they then get ready to, where were they going? I actually forgot where they were going. Anyway, Cynthia and like when they were on the van, like I think they were all in one van now and going to wherever they go. I believe actually at dinner. Cynthia, and this messy question: what did you learn about someone else? Like I just needed someone who's gonna say something shady. I just knew we were just gonna go somewhere crazy, but I felt like it was okay. Like they were in like a decent spot, really. Like nothing crazy was said. Kay said that she didn't know that Phaedra was a hit with white women, and like obviously they showed the flashback of like white women coming up to say hi and all that. It's like Phaedra, Kay Michelle. Phaedra is on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Like whether we like her or not, like she to me she's a veteran. She's not my favorite, but she's a veteran. Like she's been around for ages. The Real Housewives of Atlanta at their peak were getting like 4 million live views. So it wasn't just us black people watching. There was white people watching as well. People of all colors, races, and all that. And at the same time, it is like a worldwide phenomenon. Like let's be honest. So, and I'm not saying that like in comparison to Love and Hip Hop, it's like well, Love and Hip Hop's different. Like it's more, in my opinion, like it's more like a niche viewership. Someone's gonna get on me. Let me move on quickly. Um, and they also, I guess, while they were talking about that, I don't know, somehow I have a note here that says, K Michelle needs to let go of the girl group and bring her down drama. So they did like a flashback to when they were sitting at the pool the very first night that they got to the house when Kelly, Shamia, and K Michelle were at the pool because they didn't want to go to dinner. And then K Michelle brings up the whole like like the girl group drama in Atlanta and how she feels like they're trying to block her and bring her down. And like I get that, I understand, but I feel like she needs to like let go and like remove herself from that trauma because I feel like it is something that could like really stop her from really forming bonds with this group of women now. And like these women are not the same women that she had encountered like either on Love and Hip Hop or within the music industry. Like I feel it's two different spaces, and I feel that she should give it a chance at least, or she should try to work through what is like stopping her from getting there, if that makes sense. But that's just my thoughts anyway. Um, Obviously Kelly then talks like in the bus as well. Kelly talks about her opening, and Angela is so messy when she said who all was there? And like we all know that Portia wasn't there. We all know that Portia sent flowers. We all know that Angela picked up the phone and called Portia, and then Kelly grabbed the phone to speak to Portia, and that's when Kelly was like, broken flowers from a broken person. Oh my god, I can't. I honestly can't. But you can clearly see that the drama is literally heating up. Like we're getting there, and it's what episode 6 right now. Crazy. Um, dare I say Angela is giving Bone Collector? Like she gives me like Bone Collector vibes. Even Pinky as well, but I feel like Pinky does it in a way that like you can see it coming. Versus Angela, it's kind of like it sounds like a genuine concern. And it can be a genuine concern, but it also depends on who you are and your perception and how you take things. And obviously the conversation then moves on, and then Kelly and Portia start going back and forth, and Kelly brings up the fact that Portia had slept with R. Kelly, which was something that was, I guess, revealed in Portia's book, The Pursuit of Portia. Here's my thought on this. I feel like it was unfair. I'm not a Portia or a Kelly fan. Just FYI, like my fave is Kenya. She's not on the show, but anyway. But I can be fair though. I will say this though, like Kelly bringing up what had happened to Portia, because Portia said that she was 25 years old at the time. So 20, like, I'm 31 now. 25 is very, very young. So yeah, you may say you're mature and all that. R. Kelly being, the person in like with the power, and Portia was like trying to pursue music. So it was kind of like she was made to feel that she had to sleep with him or something like to, get something going, get something started. So I felt it was unfair of Kelly to bring that up in that time because it was like comparing apples to oranges. Because obviously Portia then, from a previous episode, had brought up that Kelly had slept with someone that was married at the BET Awards. Well, after the BET Awards, I should say. Do I do I believe that? And the I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I feel like maybe, but then it's Portia at the same time. No offense to Portia. I genuinely don't know. And then also at the same time, Phaedra did mention, oh, well, they were trying to, I think they were going to say the person's name, or they were about to, or they did, maybe. And Phaedra did say that she didn't want to put the person's name out because I guess like she knew them or they like run in the same circles, and she knew his wife or didn't want to like, I guess, publicize that, which is like why? Like it's just, here's my thing. If you are someone and you want to cheat or you have your eyes on someone else, don't be married. Like leave the marriage. Unless you're in an open relationship, and but then even with open relationships, I just feel like everyone should be on the same page. It shouldn't be like someone else's idea and someone just has to go along to keep the peace. Like if you both agree, then go for it. Whatever. It is what it is. But as I was saying, do I believe this whole what Portia was saying about Kelly and this married man? Potentially, but I don't know at the same time. And especially with what Phaedra had said, how she did not want to bring his name up because of his wife, and which I assume they're all in this ran in the same circles, being in Atlanta and all that, or I guess in the entertainment industry, I should say, or reality TV space, maybe. This is crazy. So obviously, it just the episode ends with like a to be continued while they were on their way to the restaurant. Kelly and Portia going back and forth. This was a great episode. Clearly you can see like the divide. Well, the divide seemed to start last week with people when not choosing to come to dinner, people who are at dinner, and even like the groups that separated now. Like you can kind of see like what's going on because, like for example, Kelly would say something to the girls that she probably wouldn't say to Portia's face, and it's like just why don't you just tell her how you feel. But anyway, this is my review on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 17, episode 6. Please tell me what you think, how you feel. Share your thoughts down below. Also, please like, comment, subscribe on my videos. If you have any tips or anything, please let me know. Yeah, I hope you all have an amazing day. I really appreciate you for watching. I really appreciate you for liking. And I will see you another time for another video. Thank you so much. Bye.